people are concerned about data centers. They're concerned about the lake. They're concerned about resources, and they should be concerned.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox sounding off on AI data centers in the Beehive State just a day after signing an executive order to regulate their development. Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary is spearheading a massive data center project in Utah and wonders about funding for some other data centers.
Foreign money going into Utah? What is the Cuban Institute for Friendship of the People walking around in Box Elder County for? Who are these people? Salt Lake Party for Socialism and Liberation? Salt Lake Democratic Socialists for America? Where's that money coming from?
So the Trump administration claims that foreign money is fueling all the pushback. Meanwhile, there are now reportedly as many as 4,000 data centers listed across the country. Let's bring in Jared Isaac, American Energy Institute co-founder and CEO, and Gordon Chang, the Gatestone Institute senior fellow. Let's start off with Gordon. What is it that you can tell us about how China is influencing anti-AI data center sentiment in the United States? How and why is China doing this?
Well, China's doing it because it realizes it's behind the United States in AI, and they're using every tool at their disposal to try to stop us and impede our efforts. We know that China is putting money into these anti-data center groups, and also we know Bernie Sanders has enlisted China. He and AOC have this bill, the Artificial Intelligence Data Center Moratorium Act, which would prohibit the building of any data centers until Congress establishes guidelines for AI, which means never. So really what we have is China fully backing those two as they seek to end data center building in the United States.
Jason, I want to bring up this Gallup poll because while we're understanding and trying to better understand the foreign influence on how people think about AI data centers, the Gallup poll here shows that 71% of Americans oppose a data center in their area. That is more than those who oppose having a nuclear power plant in their neighborhood. That is a massive number. Are you contending here that this is all because of foreign-backed misinformation campaigns? I mean, aren't people also just using their own eyes and ears? They're hearing the sound of the data center. They're seeing it with their own eyes.
Well, it's certainly wonderful. Mr. Wonderful has got a much bigger microphone than I do, and we've published reports over the last couple of years on some of the foreign funding going into these left-leaning organizations that want to destroy our economic prosperity by destroying our energy infrastructure. I first started seeing signs, stop data centers in people's yards that also had Bernie can't be bought by billionaires. Well, apparently he can be bought by billionaires because it's foreign billionaires that are trying to stop the economic progress from artificial intelligence. And you see people posting pictures of their cats on Facebook, and then they're making posts about opposition to data centers. And it's like they don't realize they're using the very data centers to post those pictures, to book flights, to order food. I think Texas is number 2 in building data centers in the United States. And when I was in the legislature over a decade ago, we were doing everything that we could to make sure that Texas led on that effort. And some of the advancements are just incredible. The health benefits that we're seeing, the improvements in farming and ranching, 60% reduction in herbicide use in farms that are using artificial intelligence because now they're just treating the weed and not the crop itself with herbicides. So I think the MAHA movement could certainly get behind artificial intelligence and even more data centers that we're seeing come about now.
Sure, Jason, you make a good point about why AI data centers are beneficial, but I'm asking you again in terms of, do you really believe that the majority of those that are against data centers are against data centers because they're being manipulated by foreign misinformation campaigns? Or are they also just using their own experience with data centers and seeing, what's going on? They're very loud in some neighborhoods. There are people that are concerned about their environment.
Yeah, I think there are some people that do have valid concerns, whether it be about the water. I'm hearing stories about vibrations from data centers, and there are certainly some bad actors, but overwhelmingly, this emotional manipulation marketing campaign is being funded by left-leaning people and leftist organizations around the world. And so I think the vast majority of the people in that particular poll, over 70% opposing data centers, I think most of them, it's because of the manipulation from foreign funding. There are, again, certain people that have certain experiences with bad actors, as we do with every industry and every business and every neighbor that we have. And so we need to have states that have good regulations in place. And I would think many of them do, whether it's light or noise pollution or vibration pollution, just like we do for quarries around the country. We produce things more responsibly in this country than anywhere else on the planet, but there's always going to be bad actors out there that need to be held into account.
Gordon, so what do we do now to counteract China's misinformation campaign here in the United States?
There's two things. First of all, we know a lot of it is being funded from China, and people should be forced to register under FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act, especially Neville Roy Singham, who works in coordination with the Communist Party's United Front Work Department. And the second thing we can do is just to ban NGO contributions from foreign sources to American NGOs. It just seems we should not be allowing foreigners to pour all this money in. And yes, people do have legitimate concerns about data centers or climate change or whatever, but we know a lot of this is being fueled from abroad, and that a lot of this is just not organic.
And final word, Jason, in terms of proof here, do we have rock solid proof? I know that Kevin O'Leary says he has some, I think, 90 pages of evidence. Have you seen this proof, and what do you think the next step needs to be?
We absolutely do have proofs. I know one of the largest donors to the movement, the foreign funding, is from a Swiss gentleman named Hans-Georg Wyss, and he says he's denying our report published at our website, AmericanEnergyInstitute.com, which is funny is because we didn't have to go out and hire a bunch of auditors like Mr. Wonderful did. We actually pulled the 990 filings from the Internal Revenue Service, and so the receipts are there. This is absolutely happening, and Gordon's right. We need these companies to register as foreign agents and stop accepting foreign funds.
Yeah, it is a fascinating topic. I'm really glad we had both of you here to kind of break it down for us, because AI data centers are really top of mind for so many folks as we are in this race against China and our adversaries. Jason Isaac and Gordon Chang, thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday.
Thanks, guys.